Meet the new MG HS PHEV, which is quite a different model to the one it replaces in terms of it looks a lot better and the interior is a drastic improvement. One of the big competitors for this car now though is the BYD Seal U, which is also a plug-in hybrid and a car I've had a look at already on the channel a couple of times. And for those of you asking about the ZS, I will have that soon. I'm trying to do as many videos as I can. So this is a plug-in hybrid with a range of up to 120 kilometers and a 1.5 petrol engine, front wheel drive. If you go for the PHEV, you've got nearly 300 brake horsepower going through the front wheel. So plenty of power and a decent electric range, little under 25 kilowatt hour battery. I charged about 12 kilowatt hours into it last night, 10 cents a kilowatt hour. So for less than the price of a cup of coffee, I got about 45 kilometers of range. Now it's very, very cold. It's like 2 degrees right now, so that will affect battery range. But there's also some clever stuff inside the car to preserve your battery, kind of. I'll explain more when we're going for a bit of a drive. If you're watching this in the UK, the top trophy spec is from about €25,000. This is our top spec here in Ireland. There's 2 trims for that. You're talking over 43,000 for the higher spec one, but it is actually a little bit cheaper than the BYD Seal U in the entry level. PHEV versions get these side steps on the vehicle. They're kind of problematic. They don't stick out enough to actually help you get in and out of the car, and they just catch the back of your legs and make your trousers dirty when you're getting in and out, and they're also clunky for kids, so I don't really get the point of that. You've got two-tone black diamond cut alloys, this kind of awkward looking strip along the side, roof rails if you like to use a roof box for your camping holidays or whatever, and this version is keyless. There's just some buttons on the side. So 2.7 meter wheelbase, so they've actually increased the length of the car a little bit, but put that into the interior space of the vehicle compared to the previous version. Oh look, MG from start have included a wiper on this model. They didn't always do that with the MG4 EV, an area where it does trump the BYD, sorry to bring them up, Seal U is the boot. So that car has barely 400 litres. This has over 500 despite being a plug-in hybrid, and there's even some space down below for your charging cables, or you get this little MG carrier bag which you can put your Type 2 into also. So good boot, very good for a PHEV. And if you like light bars across the back of cars, you'll probably like this one that does actually go the whole way across the boot. Are you listening, Skoda Kodiaq? No glass roof in the HS, but plenty of comfortable seating. So this is an optional tan colour. I suppose it is tan, but it's kind of like Angel Delight tan for those of you who remember that luxury dessert. So we have a center armrest. Genuinely, the seats are very comfortable. They support the back of your thighs. Almost a fully flat floor. 2 well-hidden USB charging ports in the back. And that's one of the issues I have with this car. It's heading into 2025. There's not a USB-C charging port anywhere. Kids will like the size of the windows in the back, and even back here there's softer materials on the tops of the doors. A lot of brands skimp on that. A lot of you comment from time to time and say, why do car reviewers talk about hard and soft plastic so much? It's a yardstick for skimping. Yes, most brands will have hard plastic down below where your knees and stuff go, but some of them will actually put hard stuff here, and it's commendable that MG have got soft squishy stuff for your elbows. For kids, for God's sake. Head height is also pretty generous. I'm not over 6 foot, unfortunately. Or do I want to be? Anyway, there's a couple of inches spare headroom there, but it probably could be a little bit better. But leg room is the big difference compared to the last version. There's way more space back here, and also in the front. In Ireland, Excite and Exclusive are the names of our trims. The entry is a little under €41,000, but you still get CarPlay for that. And then this higher spec, well, you're kind of spoiled with all the things you'd want. So you have blind spot, you've got a really nice floating display here. The graphics are super sharp. As you look around, everything feels nice. The steering wheel feels really, really good, but you still get physical buttons for those of you that like them. There's a hill descent control button here. Automatic gearbox in the plug-in hybrid version, which again is almost 300 give or take brake horsepower when you have the car charged, and the 1.5 going through the front wheels, which seems like a lot. There's not too many physical buttons, just 4 here that bring you back to home at all times. Climate screen. I still have a bit of a weird thing with MG when it comes to their temperatures, where you have 22 in other cars and you leave it at 22. This, to be warm, has to be 26 upwards. The aircon runs quite high. I've checked is it on eco setting or not. If you turn it down a bit, your windows start steaming up very quickly. So it's just a weird one. And I wonder, would you actually get extra range into the car if you didn't have to run the fan so high to heat the cabin? On that note, so heated seats as well. When you go into your charging settings, what you can do is you can actually set up the battery in your charging setting options. It's called intelligent power battery heating. It heats the power battery to improve driving performance, but it actually zaps your range. That's where it's different to a heat pump, which should in theory give you more range. It's nice to see it on a plug-in hybrid, any sort of thermal conditioning and heating, but I'm not sure how important it is in a battery of this size. There's also vehicle to load, which you also get on the BYD CLU. So in that sense, MG have actually put some thought into, using this car as a power bank, essentially. You do need to plug in the device to get the CarPlay, which again probably should be wireless in this day and age of nav. And there's lots of little apps to keep you busy, as well as the MG Pilot, which watches you. You've got an infrared sensor here, which will drive you absolutely mad. You can turn it off, but you've got to do it every single time. And yes, that does get a little bit annoying, but no less annoying than the fact that you don't get any USB-C charging ports in this car. And for all my devices and gadgets today, I've had to find an old USB-C A adapter to charge devices, which is and they're slower to charge, and yeah, it's all a little bit just weird that it doesn't come with that. But the interior is absolutely lovely. It's a massive improvement, so well done, MG. On the warranty on the car, it's very generous now, 7 years or 150,000 kilometers, but just bear in mind you've got to get it serviced at an MG dealership and use OEM parts and fluids and everything for that to be intact. You can have HEV or just EV mode. It's reasonably comfortable. There's less body roll than before, and the suspension is okay. It's actually probably less of a floaty setup than the CLU as well, from comparison perspective. And again, if you're watching this in the UK, you're going to get 5% at the company car rate, so quite affordable. And if you're someone who's now getting out of electric, wants to get back into a PHEV, there's a decent range to do that for you. When you use all that power, because it's going through the front wheels, there are times when you'll get wheel spin unintentionally. On turn as well, you might lose a little bit of traction depending on how fast you're going. There's no getting around it. It's a lot of power to go through the front wheels of a car. Average over nearly 800 kilometers is 5.4 litres per 100 kilometers. Now, I don't know if other people have been charging this car the way I have, but certainly if you do charge it, you'll obviously drive around in zero emissions. So it should be good, MG say, for a total range of over 1,000 kilometers with a fuel tank and a fully charged battery combined. Driving dynamics anyway, it's not as floaty as the BYD in my opinion, but it's not, again, a car you're going to be buying for driving dynamics. It's got a great boot for the kids and all their stuff. Maybe you've got a dog or two, loads of interior space, good spec on the car now, and it certainly looks a lot better on the inside than it did before. It's possibly one of the, Cyberster aside, one of the best interiors MG have put into a car, and they say from their perspective it's the most important car they've launched. They're on a bit of a roll in the UK as well, just to give you a bit of context for Irish people watching. They're starting to creep in on Skoda sales territory, possibly going to overtake Vauxhall, which would have been historically quite a big brand in terms of sales rep company car vehicles, and their market share since they launched not that long ago with these models in the UK has really captured an audience who are looking for a little bit more value for money, I guess. Not saying that this car is cheap, even at 25 sterling or a little over 40,000 euro here in Ireland. It's not cheap, and it would definitely catch probably more attention if they'd undercut BYD a bit more and maybe started this car with a 3 at the start of the price. But all in, not a bad little car at all. While you could probably argue that MG could have made it slightly more special in the design front, it just blends in the Aldi car park as another mid-size family SUV. It's still a really good effort. It's got a 7-year warranty now on the vehicle. The 120-ish, even if it's a 100-kilometre electric range, is decent by anyone's standards, and it's not bad price-wise compared to so much of the competition. So I definitely shortlisted, but I'd have a look at the BYD CLU also. I'm definitely curious to see what you think about this car, so please do let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for coming this far on the video today, and I'll see you on the next one.